What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Show with another video. Now I've been playing Rebirth and I've been had a lot of fun with it. I think that it's amazing, man. I think it's a great game. I've been playing Yakuza too, so I've just been playing a lot of things here and there, some older games, and I really want to talk about the subject of these types of remakes because I don't think I've seen specifically these type of remakes before, unless I'm just literally blanking in my memory. I think this is kind of a first. I actually was really opposed to the idea of games like this, where you would take a game and you would extend it so much that you would split it up into parts. I really was not a fan of that, especially a game that already had a pre-existing story. And while I'm still not the biggest fan of it, like I don't think it's absolutely amazing, I do see why it could be beneficial to a lot of people. It just in the fact that this type of remake is probably the superior remake. You know, yeah, it's gonna take a long time for you to get all three games. I think it's supposed to be a trilogy, in order to get all three games for all of the story. And it is a format in which could easily be represented as something that's not necessarily a cash grab, but something towards that nature. Because let's be honest, if you want to take a game that already has a story and just try to spread it out, maybe throw a couple mini games in there and just like time wasters and stuff like that to make it three separate games, that could be viewed as very unnecessary, and you should just give me the core story from the jump. But I kind of had these similar thoughts when I played the original remake, when I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first game. I originally kind of changed my way of viewing it because I originally was like, and the story's not gonna be finished, I'm gonna get to the end of the game, I'm gonna feel like that I'm gonna be left wanting more, and obviously that was the case because I did want more, but it just felt like it was gonna end up being incomplete. But weirdly enough, the way that they ended the first game was smart to me. I like the way that they stopped, and I like the way that they basically showed you this won't be a typical remake. Think of this as basically a re-revised version of Final Fantasy VII, in which we're going to change things. It's going to be different. I know a lot of people wanted things to be different in the Final Fantasy story, and here's my thing about that. I think it's interesting that they chose to go this route because we could see this coming to any other Final Fantasy game. There's a lot of titles in which people would like to see be remade or remastered and stuff. Now remastered, they've been doing that. They've been remastering a lot of these games, but a full-on remake, that's some interesting concepts in that. You know, I would love to see Final Fantasy VIII be remade, considering that the original game for me, especially when I was younger, was a bit confusing and just didn't seem like it was all that good to me. I liked it, but you know, to me it had its issues. Maybe as an older adult, I can understand what that means in terms of like the story, but I was not really feeling it when I was younger. But that doesn't just go for Final Fantasy though. There could be a lot of games, a lot of older JRPGs that could take this format. Like imagine if you had a really, really in-depth game and you wanted to split it between 1, 2, 3. Now the only way I could kind of look at that is something like Mass Effect. Weirdly enough, Mass Effect, the collection, was probably one of my favorite games of all time. I never really got originally into Mass Effect before, and I think I tried like Mass Effect 3 just hopping in, and I didn't like it, which kind of speaks to itself. It's a weird business model because when Final Fantasy 3 comes out, you're gonna have to play 1 and 2 first. It's no skipping around. You can pick up and play Final Fantasy 3 or Rebirth 3 or whatever you're gonna call the next part and just be good and you'll know the story. No, these games are actually one long game. Like usually when they do stuff like this, it's just in collections. Like look at Kingdom Hearts 2.5, 2.8. Like that could be viewed as one long Kingdom Hearts game because it's basically in the same timeline, mixed with kind of the same characters with different mechanics between them, just like how Rebirth and Remake is. But instead of a collection, this is literally the game. So you can pretty much expect to see when all three games are released, to basically see them maybe combined into one giant game, like a collection. You can pretty much see it happening. It's not all that weird when you think about it. Like I mentioned the Kingdom Hearts thing before. If you were to look at it as one big story, you could think about how the collection could be similar to Final Fantasy. I do want to see certain games remade like this though. Right now, the only ones I can think of is part of the Final Fantasy franchise. I would love to see a series remake on 10, just kind of exploring some different styles, different paths and stuff, and to really get to see what the graphics could do and the turn-based combat, which I really like, by the way. I really like how they changed it to like the actiony RPG menu type of combat, like kind of Kingdom Hearts-ish. I really do. I really enjoy that a lot. That's probably one of the best things about the game. The combat just feels so satisfying. But other than that, man, I really am enjoying this game. I've not yet beat it. I'm going the long route. I think I might platinum it. I'm not sure. But I'm having a blast. And I think when I originally played the original Final Fantasy Remake, the first part, I think I was just so against the ideal of having to split up. I just wasn't enjoying it when I first played it. The PS5 version came out and I was having a blast. Speaking of that for a minute, there are issues with the gameplay and stuff like the performance mode. I'm pretty sure if you played it, you know what I'm talking about. I did think that those issues would be addressed in a patch, if I'm not mistaken. I think I heard that somewhere. So definitely waiting on that if I continue the main bulk of the story, because the game in itself, it is a game that deserves to look good. And right now it just doesn't look the best. So I'm hoping that ends up to be changed. I really want to ask you guys though, what do you feel about this model? Like, do you think games could successfully thrive in this? Do you think Final Fantasy VII had to be the one because it's a very popular Final Fantasy game? Like, could you remake one that a lot of people don't know and it still be very, very successful? Do you think we should focus on newer IPs, newer games? I did enjoy 16 very much. I liked the game, but I enjoyed the combat and the style of play and pretty much everything about 7 more. I mean, Final Fantasy is a game franchise that can transport you into at least 20 different fantasy worlds. And I think Final Fantasy VII was always a favorite of many people, so it makes sense of why this game is so successful. But can we do it to other Final Fantasy titles that are maybe not as successful and make them just as good as Final Fantasy VII Remake was? I would love to see this be done with a lot of different projects. But unfortunately, you know, with this game being separated into parts and then probably working on the third version of this game right now, we probably want to see a part 1 to, let's say, Final Fantasy VIII. Probably like a couple of, like, maybe 1 to, it can be anywhere from 4 to 8 years before we maybe even get a sniff at another part. Who knows? It could be in development that long. But that being said, guys, are you enjoying Final Fantasy? Have you beat the game already? What game would you like to see this be done to? Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.